Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. Today in this one, we are going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to me. Why is that? Because I have a smooth brain. Just kidding, only halfway. But let's get into the video topic, which is going to be, how can I learn a language if I have ADHD? Now, this is just going to be me talking about some tips and tricks that I have used in my journey in order to overcome my deficiencies when it comes to memorization and learning and stuff like that, because I have a really bad case of ADHD and I can't sit still for, more than a second. And I know ADHD is one of those things that's still being researched, and a lot of the times it's misdiagnosed or it's, but just for the sake of people who have a hard time paying attention and might have a different learning style, I wanted to get some of my thoughts out there on what you can do to kind of, just kind of battle this in your language learning journey and kind of make it your own. So let's get into the first method. Let's just hop right into it. And that is going to be to find a good ratio of content you enjoy, but is also understandable. Now, what I mean by this is I think it should be not completely incomprehensible input, but I think that there should be a balance of what you enjoy and what's comprehensible. Now, why I'm putting this on the list is because I think that a lot of people kind of, I think a lot of people assume that they either say, hey, it doesn't matter, watch whatever you want. And then some people say, hey, it does matter, Stephen Krashen and, kind of the input hypothesis and stuff like that. You should go ahead and you should just completely do stuff that maybe stuff that's 20% of the words you don't understand. My issue with that is I think that you would be kind of learning you would be starting with like kid shows and stuff. And to me, that's just not interesting at all. Like, to me, if you, like, I've tried, like, if I sit down and trust me, there are some kid shows, especially in Japanese, that I really like. Shout out Doraemon. Shout out. But there's some stuff that I'll try to watch that'll maybe be kid shows or something. Like if you're trying to watch, I don't know, Paw Patrols or something in Japanese or in whatever your target language is, it's going to be like, if you just want to, bang your head against the nearest wall, you're obviously not going to stick to that for too long, right? Oh, like, and it doesn't matter how comprehensible it is. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to be able to stick to it day after day after day. But also at the same time, like, I don't know, if you try to hop right into like Steins Gate. I am a scientist. It's so cool. Son of a bitch. The visual novel or something, or you try to hop right into even just watching like a complex show or something. I don't know. Throw just an example. I don't know. You could watch Mob Psycho or something, and let's say you don't understand a single bit of it. Well, that's also not going to be enjoyable. And trust me, I just, what I'm saying here is I think there's a good ratio. I think if you, and you'll be able to feel this, I think that if you are ultimately watching it and you feel like you're engaging with the content and you feel like, okay, I understand kind of the general idea of what's happening and I enjoy what's on screen and I enjoy the stimulation of actually sitting here and looking at this, then I think you just found your sweet spot, and I think that you should continue with that. But maybe also reevaluate that if you're getting bored from the fact that you can't understand any of the plot, you might need to turn on something a little bit, you might want to take the time to go out and find content that's a little bit more, has that ratio of comprehension and, just kind of enjoyability. My next tip I have is Pomodoro timers. Now, Pomodoro timers are kind of interesting. Pomodoro timers are something that I've experimented with for a long time now, and I can say wholeheartedly that it is a technique that works for me. It is something that I enjoy, so I continue to do. I don't use them all the time, and this is what I'm gonna recommend here for a second. If it's something that you are dreading to do, like as an example, this is me with SRS, just doing flashcards in general, I would get really, really bored of it, like really, really quickly. Like sometimes, and I found that this is when I had to use Pomodoro in order to keep myself like actually engaged enough to do the task. So if you've never used it before, basically it's using intervals of, you do shorter breaks and then you break stuff off into chunks and then you eventually have a longer break. It's basically 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute break, and after 4 work intervals there's a 15-minute break. So that lets you, at 5 minutes, it just kind of lets you reset your focus. It lets you get up, go to the bathroom, come back, sit back down, check your phone, and then boom, straight back into it. 25 minutes of hard, kind of studying, and then eventually after 4 intervals you get a longer break, and that allows you to maybe watch a YouTube video or do something, or subscribe to the channel, or but pretty much Yeah, it's a good technique, and I think it's not for everybody, but definitely if you're getting like, if you notice that you're starting to get into that flow state, which I've discussed in previous videos, well, that flow state, you shouldn't break it. So don't do Pomodoro timers if you feel like you're starting to focus. I'd say turn it off at that point, or just don't use it for something that you enjoy doing. But for stuff like flashcards, for stuff like, I don't know, if you don't like, let's say you don't like shadowing or whatever. I mean, maybe this is something that you can employ to kind of start focusing and break off chunks of your time. The next tip I have is put your phone across the room. This one's tough because obviously, and it's 2024 and we're all thoroughly addicted to our phones, I would say. So in the age of TikTok and the age of short form content and all these things, I think it's getting more and more essential that you need to put your phone across the room. Just don't even look at it, because as soon as you hit that power button and it opens up and your phone, and then all of a sudden, like, TikTok's already up on your phone and you scroll once and twice and then, yeah, I mean, personally, I don't use TikTok. I had to delete anything that has short form content on it. I don't even use Instagram as a result. All stuff like that, just to avoid that stuff like the plague, man. It really will suck in your time, and I think it's not good. So just try to avoid that. Consider using an app called Forest, which is that's another thing that you can actually use this as well alongside Pomodoro. It has the functionality in there if you want to do both at the same time. But basically what Forest is you grow a tree and you say, oh, I want to focus for X amount of time, and then you have to focus. And if you open your phone and close out of the app, or open up an app on the ban list, your tree will die, or your plant will die that you were planting, and then you have to restart. But if you keep focusing and doing your task correctly, and you keep on saying what you're going to do and set these goals, then you'll grow a nice garden. And it's really fun to look at. I think it's a really clever technique. The company is big about growing actual trees and kind of donating. So just consider checking that out if that's something that it sounds like it might interest you. Check it out. It's free. I believe they do have a paid version, but the base functionality is free. If you can't do this, if you feel like this is too hard, then I would recommend to set your phone in your target language, or have, like, I don't know, let's say you can't get rid of TikTok, at least scroll TikTok in your language. Make a new account, completely restart, and just make an account that's in your language that you're trying to learn. And then that way, when you scroll it, you might be getting distracted, but at least you're still studying. That's how I think that you can combat that if you really can't get off your phone at all. My next tip is be flexible, but don't force yourself to do something you don't want to do. So what I mean by this is this is how I'm able to finally start sticking to my diets and my health goals that I've had. So going to the gym and stuff, I would go to the gym and I would eventually have these really all-in mentality where I would go to the gym. I would say, hey, I'm starting this new routine and I have to squat, or I have to do this, I have to do lunges. And one day I'll walk into the gym and I'll do it and I'll be like, man, I hate squats. And then next time I'm about to go to the gym, I'll be like, I don't want to go because I don't want to do those fucking squats. Well, the thing about that is I noticed that if I just said, hey, okay, fine, we're going to cut the squats out, just get yourself to the gym and let's do the rest and go through the motions. Well, eventually it became easier and easier to actually bring myself to the gym, and, having that flexibility is really allowed me to set these goals that I don't break, because I realized that consistently there's just going to be stuff that you can't stomach, and that's fine. So if you're doing, let's say you're doing Anki and you can't take it anymore, you might consider switching to a more lenient program like JPDB, or you might consider just reading instead of doing flashcards if you find that you need to take days off because you just can't do it anymore. And for me, that was something that was really hard to do, which was I would do Anki for 4 months, and I would have these I would do thousands of words, and it would wear on me so much that I would give up for 2 days and come back, and then I would bury myself. And as a result, I had to basically tone down the amount I was doing so that I could give myself that leniency so that I don't burn out. That's something that you really have to keep in your mind. It's just, okay, today if I'm not feeling like hitting my goal of 30 minutes of reading or whatever, that it's all right, that's fine, but we're going to try to do a little bit more immersion. Or maybe the next day when you are feeling like doing it, okay, I'm going to try to do a little bit more to make up for that. So just basically what I'm saying is, if you create these hard goals and you let yourself down, you might end up burning out. Check out my video on how not to burn out as well. And just don't just really, you shouldn't have these, I have to do this, I have to do that. Just kind of take it and try to really enjoy it, and try to do your best, but don't feel like you have to kill yourself. That's gonna be my advice on that. Another thing is try to achieve, I put down was try to achieve the flow state. Circling back to what I was talking about earlier, this is kind of the state where you start getting into it and you can feel that you're starting to kind of starting to lock in, and your attention is staying on something. Once you're there, try to do everything in your power to not, like, if you notice you're getting really into a show and the episodes are starting to go by and you're just cranking through them, don't have your phone go off and check it and then boom, you're done. Don't like get up to go to the bathroom and then a family member calls you over and then you're having a conversation with them and boom, you're out of it. Just, you really, as somebody with ADHD or ADD, you really have to focus in and just kind of make sure that your attention doesn't wander to other things. That's going to be something that you really have to notice. And the advantage that somebody with the learning style of ADD or ADHD might have is that you can really kind of hyper focus when you would like. If you are able to enjoy something and sit down, I'm sure you guys know if you have ADHD, once you're able to lock in, man, sometimes you just hyper focus and you can go for like 8 hours. It's ridiculous. During quarantine, I was putting in like 9 hours a day, because this is back when I was watching like, a ton of Matt versus Japan and stuff. I felt like I needed to get fluent in like a year, that's stupid goals that we all set like when we first start. But I was doing like 9 or 10 hours a day during quarantine. It was stupid. And if I can do that as somebody with attention issues, like, I know you guys can. You just have to like, and again, you don't have to do 10 hours. Don't get me wrong. Please don't do that. That's way too much. But you might be able to do 2 hours. And if you find it really enjoyable and stuff like that, you might be able to just lock in and just like zip by your flashcards, or, you just notice that your attention's just picked up. And once it's there, man, it's locked in. Boom. Like, hit it with everything you've got. Now, for flashcards, kind of circling back on that, is I recommend using, for me, like in my learning style, I've noticed that I would try to brute force a lot of cards. I would basically be learning these flashcards, these SRS, and I would notice that a card would not be sticking. And instead of trying to figure out why it was not sticking, I would just keep on trying to review it. Oh shit, that's blank, that's X. God damn it. I'm sure if you do flashcards, the feeling of this, just that it's those words that you just might not be able to differentiate. Fuck, I can't pronounce that. You might not be able to tell the difference about those two cards. You might not be able to tell the difference between those two cards, or it won't stick no matter what you try to do. So what I recommend is something that really helped me with kanji was doing like trying to do mnemonics, or using mnemonic devices in order to basically try to learn these better. Or at the very least, what you can do is you can look at it and you can break down the radicals, or try to make up a silly riddle about it, or do something. Just try to get it in your brain, and make sure that you don't solely rely on that mnemonic. Make sure it comes naturally eventually. Obviously, you don't want to have to think of mnemonics when you're thinking of vocab or anything, but just to make the card stick, you might have to associate that kanji or that vocab with a feeling. And sometimes, to me, as funny as it sounds, like if it was a word was negative or something, you might just want to act out a scenario where you're like yelling that word at the wall or something, and acting like you're in a conversation. And saying that word and associating it with an emotion. Try to present an emotion with that vocab or word or whatever, just so that you can get it. Once you have that little like thread attached to it, like once you've kind of tied a thread around it, then you can really grab it in. And I hope this makes sense, but yeah, just try to associate it with some form of emotion. If it had to do with, I don't know, something that was like, let's say the word meant, flower or something, you might try to look at the kanji and be like, imagine, oh, this kanji, like the shape of it looks like this. Or if that doesn't work, you can imagine you're smelling something good while you're looking at that. And as stupid as this sounds, it is something that works. You just have to kind of try it, and you might have to modify it to kind of fit in your workflow, but give it a shot if you haven't. I highly recommend it. And also, if you keep on forgetting a card like a million times over and over and over, don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay. Not everybody has an incredible memory. It's all genetic. And if you see a card 600 times and you forget it, instead of looking at it as, oh, I failed, look at it as, oh, I'm one step closer to acquiring this word for good. Because I can look back on the cards that I failed a million times, and now when I see them, I'm like, boom, got it. That battle of forgetting and relearning and forgetting and just looking at the word, when I was getting mad at it, I had no clue that like I was beating myself up over it and losing motivation, when in reality that battle is how I remember that word so well nowadays. So just keep your eye on the prize. Try a new approach. If it's not working, try to start using maybe some of those mnemonic devices, or trying something like that, just in order to try to make it a little bit more learnable. Now, my last thing is ADHD people need endorphins while learning. So try to challenge yourself and set small goals. Try to find mini victories and do any, like, even if that includes like, hey, I just learned 20 new vocab words and that felt easier than last time. I'm really happy. Or I was able to watch this content and I feel like it made more sense than the last time I watched it. Or I did this and this, and it, just create those small goals. You need to take small victories and really reward yourself for just the process of learning. I recommend actually writing down the hours that you studied per day, because for me, I found that just completing, like, let's say 1 hour of immersion and 30 minutes of reading, I found just the fact of completing that super, super satisfying to me. So I would keep on coming back to it. Now, if I wasn't able to, like I was on vacation or something, or I was getting busy with work and I wasn't able to do that, I wouldn't, like I said, going back to earlier, I wouldn't kill myself over it. But this is something that I think, is super important. It's just, don't make fluency the goal. Try to make smaller goals along the way, because chances are the smaller goals are what's going to lead to you eventually achieving your big goals. And if you don't have those little, endorphins being released along the way, your little rat brain up there is not gonna want to keep on learning. That, I hope you guys found some of these helpful. If you did, I hope so. And if you did, again, please like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And I hope to see you guys in another video. Thank you so much for watching and making it to the end. You guys are awesome. Yeah, peace, guys.